Hi, Taurus Sun and Rising. Welcome to your July 2023 Astro Update. It's Rena here. So, July is a bit quieter than the previous few months that we have been experiencing eclipses. And in June, there is the solstice. But in July, one thing that Taurus people need to pay attention to is that your ruler, which is Venus, is going retrograde. So when a person's ruler does something like goes retrograde, that can be especially felt by a person. And I have Taurus rising. So when we talk about our ruler, typically we're talking about the ruler of the rising sign. But even your sun sign, you will have an affinity. If you're listening for your sun sign in Taurus, you'll have an affinity for Venus as well, regardless of what your rising sign is. So it's funny. I'm sitting here in the dining room on the couch and stuff, and I saw movement, like, my peripheral vision, and two deer just like ran by in the side yard. I live in the suburbs, so I don't live in a rural area, but there are deer at certain times of the year. So it's kind of funny to just like see that. So on the 3rd, we have a full moon at 11 degrees of Capricorn, and this is a fellow Earth sign. So when you have planets that transit through Earth signs, it's going to form a trine to your sun or ascendant. Not always, because it depends on what degree it is. But we'll just say in general, it's a very cooperative type of energy, because it's a similar, it's that grounded influence. And so this is coming from the 9th house. And the 9th house is the house of Sagittarius. That's my sun sign. And it's the house of expansion, the higher mind, travel, God, philosophy, and that sort of thing. But I'll just give you an example why it doesn't always work out that way, because I'm a late degree Taurus rising, and this is actually going to be right inside of my 8th house. So for some of you, this will be in your 8th house. You would have to see your chart, and I'm talking about the unequal house system that most astrologers seem to use these days. So I'm going to talk about the 9th house, because that's, I like to keep things simple that way. And how that will play out is that some of you who have been wanting to go somewhere far away, maybe you've been working at trying to make that happen. Maybe now all your ducks are in a row and you're going to be able to do that. Some people may be coming back from a long trip, or a trip that was a long distance. You might be graduating college. You might be, or whether it's grad school, undergrad. Something is coming to fruition in this area. It might even be like something that isn't tangible, an intangible thing, like you have a spiritual download, because this is the spiritual house. I call Taurus a meat and potato sign, because Taurus, it's like what you see is what you get. Taurus does not like complicated things in life and complicated people. Taurus probably has a lot of disdain for people who are very arrogant, put on airs, act holier than thou, or better than other people. And so you view life through a very practical lens. And because of this, sometimes the spiritual can seem like pie in the sky stuff. And this is why, and there's a good side to that, because you're less likely to be bamboozled by some kind of, I was going to say some kind of new age cult, but it doesn't have to be new age. I mean, any kind of thing. Because you just, say, I don't go for that. So this is about, for you, this could be about having that spiritual awakening or the beginning of that in some cases, or, if you've already had some of that, for it to be enhanced, because Uranus is in your sign. So some of you are really breaking out of that mold that you have been in that has kept you kind of like more traditional, less, I was going to say conservative, but people think of political parties that way. But just kind of like going maybe more organized religion, and this could actually be someone who is letting go of that kind of belief system because you realize that you've outgrown it or it doesn't work for you anymore in some way. So that could be what's happening too. On the 10th, Mars goes into Virgo, another earth sign, and that's another trine, and that is coming from the 5th house. This is the house of love and romance, and, well, those are synonymous, I guess, and creativity. So the 5th house is also the house of pastimes, like even sports and things like that can be part of, anything that's fun. And so if you're doing any kind of competitive sports, that could be indicated with this transit. But just in general, more activity in this area. Maybe you're eager to have some kind of fun, in your life, and you're really like pursuing it avidly. This could be some kind of hot and heavy romance. Now, whether it's something that is lasting is a different story, but it's something that is very passionate. On the 11th, we have a transit of Mercury going into Leo. Now, Leo is the 4th house of home and family for you, and Mercury is about communication. So this could be some kind of communications with your mother, with any kind of contracts that have to do with real estate. Maybe you're talking to somebody about a house, something along those lines. And on the 17th, there's a new moon at almost 25 degrees of Cancer. So that's actually the 3rd house for Taurus. And this is a friendly angle called a sextile. So there's a lot of harmonious angles in July for Taurus overall. And so this new moon is in the area of communication in particular. The 3rd house can be also anything to do with teaching and learning, your siblings, if you are having some kind of change in your relationship, for instance. Maybe you didn't get along with your brothers and sisters when you were younger, and now you're starting to see eye to eye more, or you talk more, or maybe it's just like this particular time period that you are talking more or getting together more, turning over a new leaf. But it's interesting because I was talking about Mercury going into the 4th house, and that can be your, home base. The 3rd house can be your local area. So if you have been kind of thinking about moving, and you get some kind of, you kind of walk around different areas and you decide, hey, this is where I'd like to live. I think that could be the new moon in the 3rd house. Could be a new writing project or some kind of, the 3rd house can be the internet these days. And this could be some kind of new developments with that. Maybe you're creating a website or something along those lines. On the 22nd, the sun goes into Leo. And so the sun is in that domestic area of life. Venus goes retrograde. That's the same day that happens, your ruler. this is going to be in Leo, so it's going to be in that fourth house. So something that relates to that is kind of being reviewed, or something else is happening. They say don't buy big ticket items while Venus is retrograde, because you might be blinded by it. You might think, oh, wow, this is great. And it's not. Venus can be luxury items. But, in the case of the fourth house, it might be like a big ticket item, like a home. But you might think something is really attractive, and it turns out to be not what you thought when the transit is over with. Now, obviously, I just want to, put everything in perspective, because if you get a really great deal for a home and you just want to leave wherever you are, I mean, I feel like we can never take these things so seriously that it overrides some other really wonderful things that are connected to whatever is going on. So all of this should be taken with, I don't know about a grain of salt, but definitely not, acted upon unless other factors support it. But there could be some kind of new movement when it comes to your housing situation, because you're kind of maybe you're reevaluating it in some way. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that any Venus retrograde, an old love can come into your life, or a past lover, and because this is in the fourth house, this could be somebody from your childhood, or your childhood to me is also adolescence and things like that. So keep that in mind. You might be happening to unless you live in your hometown still. But if you happen to visit, because this is the summertime in the Northern Hemisphere, maybe you're visiting your mother, your father, your family of origin, and you run into an old flame. And, if the timing is right, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my God, this is like, I can't believe how magical this is. Well, remember that you have to think about like how you split up, why you split up. And sometimes people get carried away because it's just so romantic. It seems like it's meant to be. And you always have to look at what is going on and see if it really is going to be different. But you never know. It could be something like that is really magical, and maybe this is the one that got away. Who knows? On the 28th, Mercury goes into Virgo, and this is that fifth house. And if you are a writer, this is a great time for that. If you are somebody who loves things that are fun to do, that have some kind of writing, or even with Mercury communication, like the theater, for instance, then that could be featured as well. Poetry readings. Maybe you're talking to someone, a potential love partner at this time. And who knows, the new moon in Virgo isn't happening until September. So here we are talking about July. Mercury is going in this sector very, pretty early. So that can be a time when you are kind of like maybe starting the ball rolling. I would even say too that with the new moon in the third house, if you are doing online dating, that could be the new development, that you are meeting somebody online and you're talking to them. And the whole point that I'm trying to make is that the communication can be in the forefront, which actually I used to put that kind of stuff down, and I thought it was kind of like weird for people to socialize online. I thought it was fake. And now I realize in a lot of ways it's more real than two people dating in person at the beginning, because you can really just, when you're online, you can kind of be yourself more, and you can talk about it's not just the physical, in other words, which to me is really important if you want a long term relationship. But anyway, that's what I have for you. And I hope that this resonated, Taurus. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.